Hello everybody. So this is the tutorial for the 3D printer build. We have here our Creality Ender-3 Pro in our box. I've already opened mine up. We're gonna go ahead, pop this open. This front panel just comes off. We don't need it. Here on top we have our, right there is our instruction manual. Here's a flyer. Here's a certificate of authenticity, I suppose. I guess it says qualified certificate, whatever. And right here we have our printer. Right here is our printer bed. We're gonna go ahead and take this off. This is our magnetic build plate. So everything that the 3D prints get built right on here, but we'll get into that and how to set that up later. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one back on. First thing I'm gonna pull out is this right here. This is our LCD screen. Just leave that in the bag, set it to the side. Next are these bars right here. There's two of them. They're a slightly different length. We're just good. These are gonna go on the printer. Obviously, everything in here is gonna go on the printer except for the tools. I'm gonna pull this out right here. This is our extruder motor. This is our X-axis motor. We'll get into which is which later on. It's got this QR code here. Keep in mind where that QR code is and where it's facing, because it's going to matter later. We're going to set that off to the side. And now we're just going to pull the whole thing out. Just grab on the other side of the build plate and lift very slowly. And there we go. It's out. This here is our extruder housing. It's already wired in. Just be careful with it. Try not to set the printer on it. We're gonna take this, set it off to the side here. I dropped it. This is our adapter. Since we did order these from China, we have two different kinds of power cords. And we're gonna need the adapter so we can plug it into our US ports. Right here, there's this little cardboard box here. This little angled piece. And inside here, you're gonna pull out this silver looking box. This is the power supply. So go ahead and set that off to the side as well. And then, now that we have everything out of here, this layer of foam just comes out, and we also don't need it. Inside here, we have just a few more things. Firstly, our power cables. We got two different power cables. Doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use this one personally. I trust the 3 prongs more than just the 2. We're just going to set that off to the side. Right here we have this little triangle thing. This is going to get mounted on our on one of these bars here. We'll just set that off to the side as well. This is a scraper. It looks like a paint scraper. Just set it off to the side. This is what we use to get the prints off the print bed if they're stuck. We shouldn't have too much trouble though. This thing, this is what's going to hold the filament, your roll of filament on top of the printer. We'll go ahead and set that off to the side as well. There's a motor here in the corner. This is our Z-axis motor, so the up and down motor. Just try not to drop any of this stuff, guys. I'm gonna take this thing off here. Right here, we have a roll of test filament. This is made of PLA, polylactic acid. For most of you, you should have either received a box of Hatchbox PLA or it's a Hatchbox ABS. Now, ABS is a different kind of plastic. You have to heat it up a little bit more for it to print, but for your first print, we'll be using this. In here we have a component This piece is going to go on later, and a couple other things. Just set that off to the side so we don't need them for right now. Right here is our toolkit. So it has all the tools you need to assemble the entire printer. You got a couple wrenches, multiple Allen keys or Allen wrenches, whatever you want to call them. You got a screwdriver, some zip ties. We won't really use those. And there's, you'll see that there's a piece of foam here with a very thin piece of metal sticking out. That's a very sharp needle. So just be careful with that. The other printer I assembled earlier last week, it was sticking out of the bag, so just be careful grabbing it. Inside this box we have some snippers. We use that to cut filament. Here I have this bag. It has all the screws that we're going to be using to assemble the printer, so I'll set that off to the side. And finally, we have 2 more bars. Mine are being difficult. So these should be the same length. Well, they are the same length. If for some reason yours are not, that's a problem. But I don't think you should have that issue. In here, there's this little rod. Just set this off to the side. There's something in it. Well, it's an actual threaded rod. So just set that off to the side. Keep it in the sleeve. We'll use it later. That's connects to the Z-axis motor, and that allows the extruder housing to move up and down. These are going to be our sidebars, so one will go here, one will go here. Yeah, we're just gonna set that to the side. And that's all that's in the box. So we don't need it anymore. All right, now we have a nice clean work surface. Please keep your work surface nice, clean, and tidy. It's going to make everything a lot easier on your part. Let's go ahead and take out the instruction manual. For the most part, we're going to follow the order that the instruction manual goes in. So go ahead and just open it up. As you can see here, it lists all the parts that we have. Right here, it lists all the tools we have. And then we have step 1, step 2, all the way through step 12, which is the final wiring of everything. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get started with step 1, and that is mounting these bars onto the printer. So if you got a knife, I'd recommend you use a knife. A pair of scissors will work. Just go ahead, cut that open. Hold up. Okay, now something to notice about both of these. I don't know if you guys can see on the camera, but this bar has 2 holes, one right here and one right here. Now, you want to keep, and then this one, this one has 2 holes right here and right here towards the bottom of the bar. So I have the one with the 2 holes on the inside, here and here. It's facing the inside, so it's currently facing to my left. Should be on, it's facing to my left on my right, so it should be on your left for the video. And we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to take the printer. I'm going to put it right here in the middle. Squeeze that off to the side. So these are going to go right here. And for assembling these, let's take a look at our instruction manual. It says we need 4 M5 by 45 screws. I lost my bag. Here we are. So the M5 by 45 screws. So go ahead, open up your bag of screws. There's a couple random things in here that matter later on. Just isolate all the screws. There's these T-nuts. You can set these off to the side for now. We're not going to use them until later. But all these screws here, keep close by. These big ones are the ones we're going to use. They're the M5 by 45. Right here we have end caps. We'll put those on later. And then here we have, this is our belt, and this is what's going to allow the extruder housing to move left to right on the x-axis. So here we have our M5 by 45 screws, so go ahead, pop those out. There's 5 in here, you only need 4. You can just get rid of the bag. You can set those over there. All right, so here we have a printer. For you guys, this is the back side of the printer, so I'm gonna flip it around so you can see what's going on. Oh God. Okay. There's a bunch of wires back here, so we're just keep them towards the back. There is this one rainbow wire here. What I actually want you guys to do with that is sort of pull it through. Mine's all tangled up. All right, I'm gonna pull it through the front of the printer and just set it there. There's a wire right here. Just squeeze that down there for now so it's out of our way. So now what we're gonna do, now I have my bars flipped around, so I have to move this one. So your guys' printers in front of you should look somewhat like mine. We have this bar here with the 2 holes towards the bottom, and we have this bar right here with the 2 holes on the side. I want these facing towards the printer. Yeah, I want them facing towards the printer. Another thing about this bar here is that around the holes, there's a milled out section on these raised portions here. That's going to allow the screw head to fit through later on. You want to face that towards the front of the printer. So you want these holes on your left facing towards the printer, with the milled out sections facing forward, so towards you. So what we're going to do first, we're going to put this bar on here. And I'm actually going to take it, I'm going to put this whole thing on its side. And I'm just going to take this bar, I'm going to sort of line it up. Once you flip it on the side, there's 2 holes on both sides of this bottom rail. You'll see where they are. When you take one of your screws, just push it through there. You're gonna have to sort of look between the bars here. Ooh. Another thing I want everyone to check for is there's these wheels here. Make sure they're all mounted. I did open one up and it wasn't on there, so just there's these screws on the bottom. Just put it on there and screw it in, and you should be good to go. But again, take the screw. There's these holes here. You just put it through, and you'll screw on your bar there. So I'm going to start with the bottom one. Alright, just drop the extruder housing. The one thing I told you guys not to do. This is a little finicky, so I'm going to hold it down with my chin here. All right, that's in there a little bit. A greasy, sweaty chin. I'm going to go ahead and put the other one in. So we're just screwing these in by hand at the moment. All right, now once you get them in pretty much as far as you can by hand, go ahead, take out your Allen wrenches. We're pretty much going to use the Allen wrenches to assemble the entire thing. Take out the Allen wrenches, you're going to get the biggest one out, and you're going to screw in these bottom screws. Now just get it hand tight. Also try to screw it in at around the same moment in time, as in like screw one in a little bit, screw in the other one a little bit, so as to not over tighten them. I'm going to flip it over here on the edge of my table so I can use the other side of the Allen key. All right. And again, just hand tight. These are steel screws, and these rods and railings are made out of aluminum, so you want to be very careful with it. Something I want you guys to check for: make sure this side is flush. The side of this railing here, make sure it's flush with the side of this railing here. So mine's actually flush, which is very good. If it's crooked a little bit, loosen your screws, give it a little twist, and then just feel if it's aligned. That one's on there nice and tight. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this back over on the side. I'm going to put this on. Now remember, 2 screws, the 2 screw holes with the milled out portions are facing the front, so facing towards you. Mine's facing towards the camera. Excuse me, my throat's a little dry. So go ahead, screw that in. This one actually might be a little easier. And again, try to make sure that's flush when you're, it's a lot easier to make sure this one's flush while you're screwing it in, because it's just right there. And again, make sure those screw holes are going towards the inside of the printer. Screw that down. Screw this one down. Now, what I can do, hand tighten. Mine's just a little crooked. All right. Mine's nice and flush now. Well, mine's not flush, but it is flat and perpendicular or parallel with this, so that's all you really need. Again, just hand tight, essentially till it stops. And boom. First step is done. They should look relatively even with each other. If yours doesn't, go ahead and try to fix it. There we go. All right. Moving on to step 2. Step 2 is putting this on, as well as the LCD screen. So for these, for the screen, we'll do that second. We'll do this one first. But for the screen, you're going to need the M5x8s. You only need 2 of them. There are 4 in the bag, so save the other 2 for later on. And then for the power supply here, you're going to need the M4x20s. And these are these silver screws. They're a little longer. M4x20, M5x8. So we're going to take our extruder housing. There's this wire in here. Just pull it. There's this yellow thing that comes out, and that'll just dangle there. We're just pulling it out to get it out of the way. Now, on this side here, okay, so we have this yellow sticker here, it's pointing this way, opposite side, excuse me, we got a threaded hole right there, and a few ones in the middle, but we're not going to use those. So this hole and this hole are going to line up with the 2 holes on this bar. And we're going to put our M4x20 screws through that hole and mount it into here. So I'm going to go ahead and open these up. There's only 2 of these, so I'd recommend you don't lose it. Here, just put it in there. I'd recommend getting one of your Allen keys out. It's the second largest Allen key. This one's the largest, this one's the second. Get your Allen key out. Once you get in the hole, push the Allen key in there, line up the power supply, and start screwing it in. All right. So I got the top one in, and I'm going to do the bottom. Now again, with these, just hand tight. Okay, you don't want to overdo these. These ones don't need to be ridiculously tight. I'm giving mine a good crank because I don't like my power supply to be wobbly. That's it. Just one good pull. All right. Oh, my lights shut off. Hold on. Lights are back on. All right, now that we have that on, we're gonna take our M5x8s. We're just gonna take 2 of them, leave the other 2 in the bag, and just set that off to the side. We're gonna take our LCD screen out of the bag here. It's just got an open end. Just pull it out. And that's gonna go right here. Now this cord, we're going to skip a couple steps ahead and plug this in now. On the back of your screen here, we got a little bit of a logic board. What you want to do is plug this in to this port here, okay? This port on the end. So the first, going from left to right, is the first one. Let me double check one of the printers, make sure I know what I'm saying. Yeah, so it's gonna go on the one farthest left, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and plug that in now. The top of this plug has this big tooth in it. You wanna face that upwards. Let's plug that in. There's 4 screw holes here. You're just gonna take this, put it in. I'm gonna turn mine around so I can actually do it. All right, so I went ahead, I mounted mine on. We're gonna move on to step 3 here. And you're going to need to get out this bag. We're only getting one thing out at the moment. We're taking out this, so go ahead, put the rest of the bag to the side. Excuse me. So this little thing is a sensor. It tells the printer when it has reached the 0 point on its Z-axis. Whew. Excuse me. Get that off the floor. So this is going to tell us when it's hit its 0 point on the Z-axis. We have another plug here that goes to it. It's this one. It's a little short. It's got a, you guys probably can't see it, but it has a Z on this little yellow tag here. And that plugs into this port here. Now, take the teeth, face them upwards, and just plug it in. And then we're gonna mount this. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and mount this on. There's these, so on the front here, we have 2 screws, screw heads coming out. On the back here, there's these T-nuts. And what I want you to do is unscrew them by hand, just so they're loose, but still on the screw, they're not gonna fall off. Do that to both. So I got them both loose, they're not gonna fall off. There's quite a bit of space in between when I push the screw heads up, between that and the base of this part here. So I'm gonna make sure these lines are straight. And what we're gonna do is we're actually going to put it right into here. And that just lines up right there. We're going to slide it all the way down. There's a little tooth here at the bottom of the part, and that tells us when we've hit the bottom here. Make sure the cord is out of the way. Mine just hit it. And make sure this part is relatively straight with the side. So you go ahead and this is right Allen wrench. You go ahead and mount this on now. So the thing about those T-nuts is that since we loosen them up and now as you tighten them, they will rotate until they catch on the inside of this railing, and that'll actually hold it on very tightly. Mine's actually really tight, which is good. You want it tight on there because you don't want this to move at all. This one you can give a good crank, so that way it doesn't go anywhere. Because if this moves, that can cause problems for the printer, and we don't want that. All right, next step is step 4, putting this on, as well as the, you're gonna need this rod as well. So for this step, you're gonna need the M4 by 18 screws. They have this conical shaped head. They're the only 2 of this kind in here. And that's gonna go on the back of this bar here. So you're gonna have the motor facing this, this plug here is going to face you. Well, when you have it flipped around, you're gonna have it flipped around like this. I'll actually turn the whole thing around so you can see what's happening. So this is going to face this direction. It's gonna go pretty much right there. It's gonna float a little bit with these screws once you screw them down, but should be fine. Let me go ahead and get these out of the bag. I'm gonna find the right Allen wrench. All right, it's the middle sized Allen wrench. That's the one you want to use. And we're gonna go ahead. We're just gonna put this in here and just start screwing that in. It'll just go right in. It's very easy. I'd recommend you slide your print bed all the way back out, so we have room to work. There we go. All right. So since we have this in, you're gonna need another Allen key because there's this bolt right here. It's very tiny. Wait, actually, I believe we can just use this one. Yes, so we'll just use this one. You're gonna take this rod. Something was very loud. We're gonna take this rod. We're gonna take it out of the sleeve here. Be careful touching it. It's very greasy. You want to find the side that's painted. Mine's painted blue, so it might be painted red or pink, or it might be a little faded, but just look for it. If it's not marked, don't worry about it. But if it is marked, you want to take that marked end and put that down into here. And we're just going to screw this shut so that way it clamps down quite nicely. Wow, mine is really loose. So this one, you do want to make sure it's pretty tight. Not super tight. It's a light crank, so that way this doesn't move. I know as you can see, this one's actually leaning a little off center, which means this is mounted crooked down here. So I'm actually going to unscrew the right side. Well, my right, it will be your left. I'm going to unscrew that one a little bit. you're gonna push it over. So if your rod, if this threaded rod here is leaning right, or it'll be your left, you'll unscrew the right screw and just tilt the whole thing towards your right. If it's leaning to the right, like mine was, you'll unscrew this one and push it to the left. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that back down. All right, I'm gonna take my rubber sleeve and just put it back on top here, just to protect that and not get grease everywhere, because that'd be kind of gross. We're actually onto the back side now, and for this is step 5. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take the printer. When you're picking it up, don't grab this, grab like right here or something. And just, I'm gonna set mine on the floor here, just so it's out of the way. Now for step 5, and 6, and 7, we're gonna use one of these rods. We're gonna use the shorter of the two, or maybe it's the longer of the two. We're gonna use one of them. Yeah, we're gonna use the longer of the two. You can go and get this one out just so you have it out of the wrapper. This one will get mounted on top of the printer, so we can just set that to the side for now. And we're going to take this, and that's when this puppy comes in. Now this is going to be slightly difficult. The thing here is on this rod here, we have quite a few holes that have been milled through it. On this side, we have 1, 2, and 1 big one. On this side, we have one big one, and then the second normal one. Now the big ones, as you can see, have these milled out portions. Now that's not so a screw can necessarily fit through it. It's so the head of a screw will not block this from sitting flush on this surface. So actually, this piece right here is going to be mounted right here. Now, as you can see, there's a bit of a gap in here, and that is our work area to mount this on. So I'm going to take a minute, I'm going to mount this on here. It's going to be very difficult. Might take a couple minutes. So we have this right here, this milled out portion. We got 1, 2, 1 big. So we're going to put that with this milled out portion facing down, with the QR code facing up, and it's going to get mounted right here. So I'm actually going to flip mine over. Well, I'm just going to hold it here. For this step, we need the M4 by 16s. So let me find these. Here, the M4 by 16s. There's these tiny screws. They have these tiny washers on there, so that's going to help with the fit. We only need 2 of them, so go ahead and take out 2, set the rest of them off to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it in here. So that way it's just ready to go. I'm just gonna line this up, and hopefully you're gonna take one of your Allen keys, not the biggest one. You're gonna take your second largest Allen key, and sort of just try to work with it here. I'll tell you what, mine doesn't like me very much at the moment. Alright, I got 1. Do I? Here we go. I got one in. Now that I got the one in, that should make this other one a lot easier. When you're putting this together, I want you guys to make sure that this surface here, this top of the rail, is level with this surface here. So just sort of run your finger along it. It should feel, you just want it to feel like it's flat, you know. There's a curve right here, so once you get to that curve, it's gonna go up obviously, but this small 1.5 inch portion, try to make sure it's level. That'll help with the print quality quite a bit. Let me go ahead and screw in this other one. All right. Again, hand tighten. Don't want it to be too tight. Well, you don't want to put it on so tight that it breaks it. Just one quick crank. Okay. Now that we have that on, we can move on to step 6. We're gonna put the belt on. It's not gonna be like on, but it will be there. On the front here, our little QR code box. On the inside, there's a little wheel with teeth. And there's those 2 gaps right above it, one up top, one under it. So this belt is going to, we got one side smooth, one side has teeth, and we're gonna put the side with teeth facing so that way it's on that wheel that also has teeth. So what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna take the belt here, and I'm gonna put this one through the top side, top half, and pull it through a little bit. Now I'm gonna take this side. We do the same thing, but on the bottom. And it's gonna go straight through. There's this hole here. It's not coming through that hole. Okay, it's gonna go past it. If I can get it through. All right. So when it's done, it should look a little bit like this. Okay. So it's coming out here and here. All right. And it's on that tooth thing. I'll try not to drop it like I used to. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna actually pull this out a little bit so it wraps around. We're gonna put the extruder housing onto this bar here. That's this. This is our extruder housing. On the back, we have these wheels, and you want it facing the same direction as the QR code. You want this fan to be facing out the same direction as this QR code. We're just gonna roll that on here, and you're actually gonna roll it over your belt here. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the belt, putting it through there, putting it through here, and I'm just gonna hold it down here. I'm gonna roll that belt on right over it. Now, so this gold piece is still here. We're actually just gonna roll it right over. Mine actually went over quite easily. You guys may have a little bit of trouble, but just give it a good jolt. It'll be good. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount on this part. So I already have the screws sitting in here. It's the M4 by 16s, the same ones we used to mount on this. And it's gonna go right here, okay? So we have this milled out portion, a threaded hole, and another threaded hole. We're just gonna put that straight on there and screw it in. You're gonna use it's the same middle-sized Allen key that we used to mount these on. We're gonna screw that on. Now, like before, what you're gonna check for, like before with this piece, you're gonna check that this surface right here is level with this surface right here. Now, mine's way off at the moment, so I'm gonna fix that. Awesome. All right. So mine's nice and level. Go ahead, screw in this other side. There we go. Now, what we're gonna do next is you're gonna wanna get this bag again. And we need this piece right here. So you go ahead, get that out. It's not in a bag or anything, it's just loose in there. And here we are. Now, like before, with this piece over here, it's got these T-nuts, and you're just gonna unscrew those. So out there, so they're nice and loose, just really hanging on there. Hanging by threads, so to speak, if not literally. And we're gonna make it so we got some bit of space there. And that's gonna go right here. And we're just gonna pop it on. Don't bother with trying to get this one too tight. You're gonna use the second largest Allen wrench. Just get it down there. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this to put tension on this belt here once we mount it on. On the bottom here, there's 2 slits. We're gonna put these slits, we're gonna put the belt through these slits like this, okay? Just like that. It's just gonna slide out. And we're gonna do the other side. Now, this one's going to be a little bit more difficult. I'm actually going to redo this one. Okay, there we go, I don't have to. This one's gonna be slightly more difficult for some of you. Also slightly more difficult for me. But I did get it on. I just slid it on there. Now, there's not, although it may seem like it, there's not a lot of tension in this belt here, and there needs to be a little bit more. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen up this piece just a hair, so that way the screws are loose. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna push this forward with my thumb to create some tension. I'm gonna screw it back down. And awesome. So what you want to check for is just take your finger and tap and hold on the belt that's in between the railing here. And if it vibrates, you're good. If it doesn't vibrate, or if it barely vibrates, you need to try to get a little bit more tension on here. And all you need to do is unscrew these, push it forward, and then screw it back down. All right. Now that that is all together, we get to actually put the entire thing onto the printer. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna set it down here. I'm gonna put it right here. All right. So you're gonna go ahead, you can go ahead and take the sleeve off of your threaded rod now. We're gonna take this whole thing, and you're just gonna line up the wheels with the arms. And it will literally just roll on. You wanna align the rod in the back here with this copper or brass hole here. I'm pretty sure it's brass. So I'll line it up and give it a good twist. and mine's nice and even, so I twisted it and that actually pulled the whole thing down over the railing still. Yes. Okay. So now that is mounted on. Our next step is we're going to take this and we're going to put it on top here. This is where the rest. So we have our M5 by 25 screws, and we got 2 bored out holes, and that's just going to go right there with those milled out sections facing the top. And you're just going to screw that in. There's 5 screws in the bag, like before. You only need 4 of them. You're going to need your biggest Allen wrench. And I'd recommend you guys do the outside 2 first. Because if your printer's anything like mine, it's actually a little uneven, but it's not too terribly off. No, it's actually fine. There we go. That's screwed on. Again, just hand tight with these, like always. And the last one. Boom. All right. Second to last step is mounting this on. What you want to do is you can rotate this until it stops. So you're going to rotate it like you're opening a bottle cap until it stops. And then you can just pull it off. Okay? And you're going to take it. You're going to put it through the back side of this piece here. You're going to take this, you're going to line up the teeth with the openings here, put it back on, and twist that in. And then boom. Now your filament's going to get mounted on, your roll filament's going to get mounted on here. And we're just going to mount that right here. So the person who needs this, you'll need the rest of your M5 by 8s. And you're going to need these M5 type T-nuts. Just go ahead, open up the T-nuts, set those down, get the M5 by 8s out, find your second largest Allen wrench. Try not to throw these everywhere. I'm just gonna put the screws through here. I'm gonna just screw those nuts on there. Now with the T-nuts, one side is smooth, but the other side has these grooves in it, and you want those grooves facing inside. So you want them, in this case, going upwards. So you want it to be smooth, facing outwards or down. And like before with the other parts that have these T-nuts, unscrew it so it's sort of just up there, hanging there. Might help if I rotate it the right direction. There you go. It should look like that. And just straighten out your T-nuts, put it down in there, and screw it on. This one doesn't need to be particularly straight for any reason. I like mine to be because I'm just a bit of a neat freak. There you go. Now it's on there, and our filament will get mounted here. Now we have one more step. I'm going to move the camera so you guys can actually see what's going on. And that is plugging in all these cords back here. All right, so for this part, I'm gonna try to hold the camera. And so we're gonna need all of our plugs here. First plug is this yellow one. So we're gonna sort of pull it out of the wiring here, feed it under this rod. And it's just gonna get plugged in right here. There you go. That's nice and plugged in now. Next step, this one right here. So we actually have this short one right here. There is a little, this yellow tag, there's a Z on it, and then it has these teeth, and you're gonna have the teeth facing upwards. You're gonna plug that right in. Now the next one is this one right here. And that's gonna come from this longer set. So it's going to be the, this one, E, for fans of the E meme. Yeah. So teeth facing upwards. Just push that in. All right, now the next two, one of these is fairly easy, the other one's gonna be fairly difficult. Here we have our X. So this is for our X-axis motor. This is our extruder motor, that's why it was E. This one is our Z-axis motor. That's why it's marked Z. So this one's marked X. You want the teeth facing towards the front of the printer, and the plug is right there. And we just plug it in, if I can. And just make sure that's all the way in. Now this next one is rather difficult. Ooh, I'm hitting things. There's a tiny plug in there, and that's where this last plug goes. So actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of my Allen keys, and I'm going to line up the plug in there with by hand, and I'm gonna push it so that way it plugs in with the Allen key here. So let's see. I can do this so you guys can kind of see what's happening. So there's the teeth here. Make sure that's facing outwards. So towards the front. I'll line it up. Just push it in. All right. And that, my friends, is a fully assembled Creality Ender-3 Pro 3D printer. Congratulations. All right, guys, so we got a couple more steps still. Got a little excited. We need to plug it in for one. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna take our adapter. It just plugs in there. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this into the nearest outlet I have. And this plug goes onto the side of the power supply over here. And it just fits in there. Just plug it in. I'm gonna go plug this into the nearest outlet. All right, now that we're plugged in, moment of truth, right? We're gonna flip it on and see if this works. Surprise, surprise, it didn't work. The reason for that is the power supply has a switch on the back of it. I'm gonna show it to you guys. You're gonna wanna grab one of your Allen keys. So there's a little switch back here. It's upside down at the moment, but if you can tell, it says 230 volts. So you're just gonna take that, swipe it down, So it says 115 volts. And now, should be able to try again. And booyah. We have a working printer. Let me go ahead and take the film off. Oh, fantastic. Okay, first step. You just press down on this. That opens up our main menu. You scroll down to Prepare. Click that. You keep scrolling. Auto Home. Auto Home. Click that. Now the whole thing's gonna move. Just give it a second. It's gonna hit that switch right down there. You heard that click. And now it is at its 0, 0, 0 point. So the values on each axis, X, Y, and Z, are all 0. Just untangling that real quick. And we're going to go ahead and level the print bed. So I'm going to press this, go to Repair, Move Axis, and we're going to move Z. Now you have these options, and this is how much you can move it by one click in the rotation of this. So we're going to go with 10 and move it up 30. As you can see, it's moving up. We got quite a bit of space there. What we're going to do, move X, move 10. We're going to move it 20 over. We're going to go back to move axis. And we're going to move Y, move 10. You do 30 forward. And just click the button, move axis. Now click on move Z and move 10 again. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the paper out of here. So let me get it out real quick. So there's 2 sheets of paper in here. One's kind of thick. We don't need it. We need this super thin one with the big QR code on it. And the back's just blank. We're gonna use this to level the print bed. So what I want you guys to do is take this, put it under the extruder here, and move your Z-axis back down. So you're going to rotate it this direction to 0. Now as you can see, that little point that's touching right there, I can't move the paper, it's stuck, which means the print bed itself needs to move down in that corner. So there's this wheel here. We're gonna rotate it. Mine's very, very loose for some reason. We're gonna rotate it counterclockwise, and you're gonna hold on to the paper. Still can't move it. You're gonna rotate it. Still can't move it. Rotate. All right. All right, so now I can move it side to side very easily. I can even take it out and slide it back under. What I want though instead is I'm going to tighten it a little. I'm going to rotate this wheel here. I'm going to rotate it clockwise now, so that way I can pull it, but I can't push it. So I can pull it, but I can't push it. I'm just going to pull that out of there. And we're going to do the same thing to all 4 corners. But what's going to happen is you can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4 in that box pattern, because that will actually leave the bed uneven. What you want to do is a star pattern, or as close as a star you can get when you're using a box. So you're going to go from this corner to this far corner, and then from here to this corner, and from this corner to this front right corner. Okay? And I'm going to record that. I'm going to just speed up the video for that portion, if I can figure out how to do that later on. And yeah. So I'm going to move my Z-axis. I'm just going to move it up to 20. So I'm going to get started. So first thing I'm moving is the Y-axis. I'm going to move 10. Yeah, rotate it quite a bit. So go with 220. 220. Okay. Move axis. Now we're going to move the X-axis. Move 10. We rotate it. Okay, that wasn't far enough. Still not far enough. A little too far. Okay. Okay, that's a good spot right there. So you want the side of this to be even with or just off with this side, and you want the back of the housing to be even with or very close to this back side. And then for the rest of the corners, it will be this front and this side for here, and then this side and the back for over here. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the paper under, lower our Z-axis down. Oh, extruder, Z-axis, go down. All right, this one's also too tight, so I'm going to rotate counterclockwise. I think I tore my paper by accident. Hold on. All right, I can pull it, but I can no longer push it, so I'm going to pull it out, move it back up. Move the X-axis, I'm going to move it so that way it says 30. Move it to this corner, and I'm going to level this corner now. Can't move it. All right, so I can pull it, but I can no longer push it. Perfect. Move that up. Now I will level this last corner. All right, so now I can pull it, but I can't push. Pull it out of there, up. All right, now our print bed is level, which is exactly what we wanted. So the next step is actually putting filament into the printer. Sorry, my phone's on the table. So we're actually going to need this bag now. Go ahead and take all of its contents out. We're going to need this, so don't lose that, just set that down there. And also we're going to need these real quick. You're only going to need this thing, and then there's these 3 C hooks sort of deal here. There's 2 smaller ones and 1 big one. You want the 1 big one and 1 of the small ones. And so I have this big hook here, and there's actually a little gap right there in between this stop nut and this gray piece here. I'm actually going to take this and just going to push it right on there. And it's gonna keep that out, which holds this piece in. And then what we're going to do over here, there's this hole right here that's threaded, and this fits right in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in. Okay. And now we have this here. We're going to take this hose. We're just going to push it into the hole that was on this. We're going to pop this gray piece out. I'm going to take our blue hook. Oh, I dropped it. Take our blue hook. Just pop it right in there. All good. All right. We're going to get out of this. So go back up to prepare. Don't go to main. You're going to scroll down, and you're going to hit preheat PLA. You have the option of preheat PLA, preheat PLA end, preheat PLA bed. So the bed is this. The end is the nozzle on the bottom side of the extruder housing. If you just hit PLA, it'll heat both. We're just going to heat the end. I'm actually going to move my Z-axis up a little higher. Nope, not done yet. I'm going to move my X-axis over. That's good. So that way it's just about, sitting in the middle. Okay, now that that's heating, you can see there's a picture of the extruder. We're already at 110 degrees Celsius, and we're going to heat up to 185 degrees Celsius. So now what you'll need is your filament. Lights shut off again. Lights are back on. So you're just gonna open up your filament. It's got a little crease right there. Find the end that's on the outside here and hold on to that. And I want you guys to get this thing out here. And this is our these are our snippers. Be careful, they're very sharp. So find the end that's on the outside here. We're just gonna snip off these twist ties because they're a pain to twist by hand. And we're gonna take this whole thing and we're gonna put it up on here. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna bring it all the way down, and there's a hole right there. I'm just gonna stick it in it, let it sit there for the moment. Another step I realized I forgot. You're gonna take these, and they just mount right on there. I'll go ahead and do it later, but you can just take them out of the bag and they'll just stick. Just push it right on in there. So we have our filament here. You can sort of see it in between that brass bolt right there. And so we actually need to squeeze that so it stays open so we can push this through. There's a hole on the inside of this plastic piece here that will go through into this hose here. I'm going to try to put this where y'all can see what's happening. So I'm just going to squeeze this, I'm going to try to push it through, and it's not going to work. As you can see, it's actually going a little off to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend the filament a little bit. I'm going to try again. Nope. Alright, so filament's bent. I'm going to bend it downwards direction so it's down that way. There we go. You're just going to feed it through. And so you really can't push it anymore. And since our thing has been heating, it should have actually pushed a little bit out of the extruder housing. And since that is done, what we're going to do now is we're going to take this out of here. So this is a little micro SD card, a little 8 gigabyte micro SD card sitting in a USB adapter. Right now we don't need the adapter, we will later, so don't lose it. But we're going to take this and we're going to flip it over so our CE is facing upwards with the gold teeth. And you're just going to push it right into this micro SD slot here. And you're just going to push it till it clicks. Should click. And if you want to take it out, you just push it in and pull it up. So push it in, let it click. I'll just sit there. And the next step, you're going to, it says no TF card. I don't know why it calls it a TF card, but we're going to do this init TF card, so that's short for initialize. We're going to initialize it. And now it senses that we have the card in. So we're going to click print from TF. And we have a few options here. So we're going to focus on these three here. So you have the option to print a cat, a dog, or a pig. It's up to you. You can do the dog or the cat. I'm going to start with the cat. These 4H, 2.5H, and 3.5H are the hour marks. So this one will take 4 hours. Well, the pig will take 4 hours, the dog will take 2.5, and the cat will take 3.5. Oh, timed out. So I'm going to select the cat, and it's going to start preheating everything for you. Since the extruder's already heated, it's already there, and we're going to let this one preheat. And that's the print bed. So that's this part here. So that's gonna heat up to 45 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna get that out of there. And it's already almost heated up, so we're just gonna go ahead and wait for it to start. While that's starting, I'm gonna go ahead and put these on. And just, they just pop on here. It doesn't matter which way. And there you go. You just put the other one on the other side. Done deal. All right. We're already at 45 degrees, so it should start soon. We're just gonna wait for it. Oh, it's actually heating up our extruder. I didn't realize that. So it's heating up our extruder at 200 degrees, which is good. We sort of want it at 200 degrees. It's a better operating temperature. I guess it says the heating's done. And we're printing. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to print a raft. If you don't see it initially, that's okay. Just give it a second. You can see a little bit of white there. So that's the raft that's printing. It's going to be a little slow. I would love just to record the whole thing and then make it a high-speed video for you guys. But so yeah, it's printing. We'll have a status update here in a couple minutes. Hopefully the raft will be done. It'll actually start on the body of the cat. All right, guys. So mine's currently pretty on the way with the print and started. And I got the first few layers of the cat feet down. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to contact me. Or if you need my contact information, you can get it from Bo or Gabe or Sam, Liz, or Jacob. You may be able to ask Jacob some questions if I'm not available. He is in the Shawnee State 3D Printing Club with me. So he knows a little bit about these. But yeah, what I would really like to see is everyone's first prints, whether you make the dog, the cat, or if you really want to, you can spring and make the pig. I didn't feel like waiting that long, honestly, but we're just going to let it ride. And yeah, that's your first print, and your first 3D print. Congratulations on a job well done. And bask in your glory of how smart you are. You know, you were able to make a 3D printer all by yourself with no help at all. Because that's what you'll tell people. Or if not, you can refer them to this video. Thank you. Goodbye.